Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today in this session of Authors Live. Today I'm in conversation with Abhishek Mittal and we're going to talk about his book Fireflies from the Future. So first of all, welcome Abhishek to the interview. Would you like to introduce yourself and the book we are going to discuss today?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ishi. Hi, everyone. My name is Abhishek Mittal. Uh, I'm working as an engineer in Bangalore, India. And apart from working for the semiconductor industry, I also write.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my first book, Fireflies from the Future, which is published by Ukiyoto Publishing, is now available. It's now out. Uh, just to tell a little bit about the book, I think I've been writing the book from the for around 4 years. So
Mm-hmm.
it took me around 4 years to write and finish the book.
Wow.
As yeah, I think Isfi, you might be aware, and people who have seen the book, they will know it's a bit of a thick book.
Yes.
So it took me, so it took me some time to write, and like managing job and writing, so that went in hand, and that led to a bit of a stretch while finishing the book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I finally did finish it, and then editing from my end took about a year, and then finding it a publishing house also took around a year. So yeah, it has been a 6.5 years of journey,
Wow.
which I'm glad has finally concluded. And yeah, I'm right here now talking to my editor, and yeah, looking forward to talk more about the book and my writing process and all the influences
Yes.
I had in my life.
Yes, I'm very excited for the book. Although I do want to mention this that we're going to keep this spoiler free because we do want the audience to pick up your book, Abhishek, and read it for
Yeah,
themselves. So,
sure.
before we get into the book itself, I wanted to know a bit about your writing history because you mentioned that you've been developing this book for around 6 years now, but you've been writing far too longer, right? So,
Right.
can you tell us a bit about your writing history?
Sure. I've been writing something or the other since school.
Mm-hmm.
I used to participate in those essay writing competitions and those poem writing competitions as well in school. Uh, I used to be fascinated by the process of writing, by the sound of words, by the language of English itself. So I kind of developed a keen interest in the process of writing and also books. I was fascinated by books right from my childhood. I read Sherlock Holmes, and I read a bunch of other books while in college, while in school. And then that continued sort of as I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
In college, I was working for a technology magazine
Mm-hmm.
where we used to cover all the tech related news and do the gadget reviews uh, for the magazine. So I
Mm-hmm.
used to write articles, I used to write reviews, opinion pieces about the world of technology. And also I and few of my friends, we started our own blog in college.
Mhm,
So we used to write short stories and few articles on that.
mhm.
So I stayed in touch with writing like wherever I went.
Okay.
And then right after the college, I joined the Logical Indian,
Mhm.
which covers all the news and current affairs
Right.
and everything happening around politics and society. So I kind of developed an interest in the arena of politics and society and governance,
Mhm,
and also I kept in touch with writing at the same time. So
mhm.
I used to write opinion pieces and cover news and write articles about everything which is happening around us. So
Right.
all of those things kind of led me, it obviously helped me to develop my skill and
Mhm.
also helped me develop my interests around the themes of technology and around the themes of politics, which
Right.
finally I think has have gone into this book finally.
Yeah, I mean, I think your history is very interesting pertaining to the book because you bring the world of politics, the world of writing, the art of writing,
Mm.
and also the world of technology, which you are in, like you are a part of all three of these, and you've put them together
Yes.
in the book wonderfully, by the way, Abhishek. So
Mhm.
I really wanted to focus a bit on that because your book is a, a bit of a critique to the Indian society, to the political environment in our country right now. And to develop this critique, you yourself need to be well read, well opinionated, which I feel like really comes across in the book. So talking about the book itself, can you tell us a bit about what your book is about?
Sure.
Mhm.
Basically, the book tries to explore certain themes and certain issues which are there in our world and in our society through the stories of two protagonists.
Mhm.
So basically, it's a story of a politician and an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And their world is basically an India of the near future.
Mhm.
So the story starts in 2027 and
Mhm.
it goes on from there. So
Right.
through their stories, I have tried to explore what issues will the world face in the near future, and how these two idealists, this politician and the entrepreneur, how they will face those challenges in the future.
Mhm.
And through those stories, I have tried to highlight that what we can do today, you
Mhm.
know, because those issues and those challenges, they are still prevalent in our modern society. uh, Whatever my protagonists face in the future, it is just an extension of the issues which we are facing today. Issues
Right.
like climate change, issues like religious polarization,
Mhm.
issues like hyper nationalism, they
Mhm.
are still very much prevalent today.
Right.
So through those stories, I have tried to highlight that if those people can, face the challenges and
Mhm.
face these issues in the future, what we as a society can do today, to address these challenges and to basically make the world a better place to live, to make the future, the upcoming future, a better future to look forward to. So
Right.
that's the gist of the book.
Right. And also, Abhishek, your protagonists both exist, they don't exist in the black and white, they exist in the gray, even though they are idealists, right? So,
Yes.
where does this inspiration come from? Because obviously, like you mentioned, this is like a mirror to the society itself. And, it's about these very pressing issues like climate change and everything else. But do you think it's important to make this sort of a political statement in this environment right now? Where does this inspiration for these characters come from?
Okay. So I think what I have tried through these characters is I have tried to distill in what my aspirations and my dreams and hopes about our world is are.
Mhm.
Uh, I remember when I was trying to conceive the story and the book itself,
Mhm.
I was not very happy about the state of the affairs as
Mhm.
they existed at that time.
Right.
So I was not happy with the way certain politicians or certain entrepreneurs of our world were, doing things or taking things in their hands. So I just wanted to write whatever I thought should happen ideally, and how what in an ideal world, how these politicians and these entrepreneurs will behave.
Mhm.
Uh, so that is why I kind of put in all my ideas, all my insights about the world, all my hopes and dreams and desires about the world through these characters. But at the same time, I did not want to make these characters seem like a god, that
Mhm.
they are like completely perfect and they don't have any, fallacies, or they know everything from the start. I did not
Right.
want that also. So I kind of try to give them a character arc
Mhm.
where they learn from their mistakes, where they in the starting they may be sort of naive, and
Mhm.
then they mature, and then they
Right.
learn how to do things, they learn about the world. So I wanted to make it as relatable to the people as possible, to the readers. I wanted to make it as relatable so that they also feel that if these people can do such stuff, then we as a society today also can make those decisions, make those tough decisions, and do something to make the world a better place to live.
Right. I think these characters are definitely very complex, which is why they are so relatable to your readers, right?
Mm.
And not just your characters, but even your writing is quite complex, Abhishek, because you're not like making a statement in the way that this is how things should be. You kind of
Mm.
navigate different directions, different possibilities, right? And you mentioned
Right.
that you've been developing this book for the past 6 years. So, but from your point of view, this book takes place like 5 years in the future, right? So
Yes.
were you looking at 10, 11 years into the future when you were developing this book back then?
No, actually. So when I started to write the book, my timeline was still around 5 to 6 years ahead.
Okay.
Like I started writing the book in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and at that time the story was supposed to start in 2022.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so I had made the world and made my characters according to that. So, but as I approached the finish line,
Mm-hmm.
and as I then started to edit the book, I realized that I may not be able to, bring the book out by 2021 or 2022, and then those future events will look like present. They
Right.
will not be futuristic anymore.
Right.
So at the editing stage, I took the decision of pushing the timeline a bit further. So
Okay.
I pushed it by 5 lines, by pushed the timeline by 5 years, and
Mm-hmm.
then I set the story in 2027.
Mm-hmm.
I did made a few changes to make the setting and make the world of the book uh, as if it would be in 2027.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a decision I took during editing, and then I made a few changes according to that.
Right. But also doing all of this must take a bit of research. It must take some complex, time planning and just plot planning in a way. So, what was the process of writing for you? Making all these changes, also working a full-time job and everything.
Yeah. As I mentioned, I used to write on weekends,
Mm-hmm.
and my process was like uh, I will not plan much far ahead into the book. I will start a chapter,
Mm-hmm.
and I will have a brief sketch of that chapter itself. What all sections I need to have in the chapter, and overall, what events will take place within this chapter.
Right.
So I think as you already know, and people who have read the book, they will know. So in the beginning of the book, one chapter is devoted to one character each. The
Yeah.
first chapter is devoted to one character, then the next chapter is devoted to another character, and then in the third chapter, both the characters their worlds collide,
Mhm.
and then from then third chapter onwards, they go hand in hand.
Right.
So all those decisions I kind of took chapter by chapter,
Mhm.
and then once that chapter was done, then I will start planning for the next chapter.
Right. So, this is your first novel, right, Abhishek? So,
Yes.
do you think this sort of very specific planning is something you would keep on employing in your future endeavors as well?
Uh, I think yes. I think it also depends on the kind of book I am writing. Perhaps I'm not sure like what kind of book or what kind of topic I will pick up the next. I have a few ideas in my mind, but I'm not sure which one of those I will pick for my next one.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, I think, so far, as per my experience, this method has worked for me
Hmm.
because I had a brief outline of the chapter and of the book in my mind, but
Mhm.
I did not plan too deep that, okay, this
Right.
is the exact turn of events, and this is exactly what will happen in each of the sections within the
Right.
chapter. So sometimes it happened that I planned it one way, but then while writing, I thought that maybe the another turn of events will be much more impactful,
Mhm.
and it will look much more realistic. So then I changed some of my planning midway as well. So I think I would like to have that flexibility in my future projects as well, where when you are writing, you sort of decide that, okay, this may not be the best way to go forward,
Mhm.
and you can take the alternate route, and then hope that the dots will connect
Right.
somewhere down the line.
Right. But also, the fact that you have gone back to your draft and made all these changes, there might have been so many learning points while you were writing this book, right? And I'm sure the pandemic
Yes.
must have affected that in a lot of ways as well. So, like, what are the
Mhm.
kind of key concepts or like just key learnings you had in the process of this book?
Yeah, so I think one of the learnings which I just mentioned, that being a bit flexible while you are writing the book, and not sticking too much to the plan.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think for aspiring writers, especially, I think it is important because we are not that much experienced that we can plan each and every detail and each and every plot point beforehand.
Right.
Sometimes it just strikes you, it just dawns upon you while you are writing.
Mhm.
So being flexible is one of the learnings which I think which I can take to
Mhm.
my upcoming projects. Uh, Apart from that, yeah, I think overall tricks while writing, like for example, one of the things which I discovered while I was writing is how to create tension in the dialogue. When you are
Right.
writing dialogue, how to create tension and how to give that effect. So, for
Mhm.
example, longer sentences, they kind of ease the tension and they create a sense of calm and stability.
Mhm.
Whereas short and quick sentences, they create that rhythm and that sense of urgency and that
Mhm.
that tension in the book. So those kind of tricks I learned while I was writing. I did
Right.
not know these, frankly, that okay, you can do such things and create that impact.
Right.
But while I was writing, those things kind of just flew from me, and then I figured out, okay, when they came on the page, I realized that okay, this is something which I can actually use, elsewhere also.
Right. So a lot of experience from the writing process itself, right? And
Yes,
I
yes,
also think this is a great advice for budding authors as well. When you write, that's when you experience, and that's from where you
yeah,
learn certain things from. So,
yes.
but one thing I've been really fascinated about because of this book is how this is your debut novel, but it's very complex in a lot of ways, right? So, um how do you in what ways do you think that it's important for you to research in a way that it comes across as a promising debut novel? Because
Mhm.
usually authors, when they are writing their first book, they don't they want to keep their expectations minimum, right? So what were your expectations like for this book?
Uh, my expectations were that I just wanted that whatever insights and ideas
Hmm.
and hopes and dreams I had about the world, those ideas reach people
Hmm.
and they kind of make their way to the readers. Uh, I was not much concerned about how much the book will sell or how it will be received on a mass basis. But yeah, the ideas and the things I wanted to convey through the book,
Hmm.
I just wanted that yeah they reach the people and they kind of kick start the conversation.
Right.
Uh, because as I mentioned, I was not very happy with the state of affairs around us, and
Mhm.
people were so much polarized. They were either left or right, and they were
Yeah.
just kind of debating and fighting amongst each other. So I wanted to just pause to just have them take a pause and just think and reflect about where
Mhm.
we are headed and what we can do, to basically iron out our differences and conflicts and arrive at a broader and at a same page
Right.
and to work towards solutions. So those were my expectations, and I hope that my readers they will take away some of those insights and ideas with themselves, and they will try to build upon them, and they will try to share it with the world, so that we have a new conversation started where
Mhm.
we are not just fighting, but we are also looking to solutions, and
Right.
we are looking to build something. We are looking to be constructive instead of just destructive.
Right. And I think that's really fundamental to your book, looking at a hopeful India in the future, right? Which is something that I think it was a very like a very optimistic point of view in your book. Because when we look at when ordinary people look at like critique to the political system of their country, they think of it as something pessimistic. They think that what they're going
Mhm.
to read in the paper is going to be alarming, it's going to be really pessimistic, it's going to be putting forward these ideas that this is wrong and this is right. But
Right.
you have this way of navigating both sides, and also encouraging people to come forward and
Mhm.
make these differences into possibilities, right?
Right.
So what do you think, like, what do you want your readers to take away from this, not just as readers but also as people who have their own political opinions?
Sure. Uh, so uh, I think I would like people as I said, to just take a pause to once forget that okay, they like this ideology or they like this party,
Right.
and to just leave that for some time
Mhm.
and just think about what kind of a world we want to live in,
Mhm.
and what is the best way for us, for India and for humanity,
Mhm.
to go forward, because most of the times we are just constantly we are only isolated within our world,
Mhm.
within our circles, where we are just constantly hearing only one point of view,
Mhm.
and we are constantly bombarded by that propaganda where we are just hearing one side of the things. So I
Right.
just wanted to give them through the stories. I wanted to show them both sides of the story, both sides of the coin, and
Mhm.
then let them think, let them reflect, and let them decide that which is the best way out of this dichotomy that we face today,
Right.
where maybe the left may not have all the solutions and the right may not have all the solutions, but maybe if we can combine the ideas of both the left and the
Mhm.
right and arrive at a consensus and then move forward, then uh, I don't know personally if that is the best way to go forward, but at least I want people to think and to just
Right.
reflect on the possibilities that okay, this is also one pathway which
Mhm.
we can go to, and see if that gives us a much better world and a much better future to look forward to.
Right.
So that will be my hope and expectation from the book.
That's beautifully put, Abhishek. I also think that your book achieves the fact that everyone, like, nobody needs to shy away from making political statements. People need to understand that our existence itself is political, and to take
Mm.
a keen interest into what the future will be like for you, because you are going to be in this future with your country, right?
Mm.
But also, what I really like about your book is how it's not just the political environment in our country that you focus on, but you also focus on global pressing issues like climate change. So
Yeah.
how have you been able to kind of put these things together, and what do you think, like, what are your insights on how we can change our ways into making our world, this earth, a better place to live in?
Sure. So, at the time when I started writing the book, I was particularly fascinated by both the political system and as well as the pressing issue of global warming and climate change. So I
Right.
wanted to make a point and put forward my ideas on both the topics.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought at that time, but if I can combine both of these two separate areas,
Mm-hmm.
because I figured out that ultimately the challenges and the issues faced by the people who are working in politics and on climate change, they are similar. They
Right.
might have similar journeys. They will face similar pushback from the from the elite of these two areas, who do not want new entrants to come in, or
Right.
who do not want any revolutionary changes to happen in both of these fields. So I thought that maybe, what if I could combine both of these areas, so that will first of all, like, cater to my interest also, because
Mhm.
if I am interested while I'm writing the book, then I will be able to write it in a much
Right.
better way. So yeah, so I thought that it would be a good idea to combine both of these fields. uh, and then uh, uh, on the climate change side, I realized that there were a few good initiatives being taken in the West, where people were investing heavily in on things like electric cars,
Mm-hmm.
and on the sustainable and renewable sources of energy and consumption. For example, I was really fascinated by what Tesla was doing back in that time,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that what if there was a similar initiative at a mass scale undertaken in India? What
Mm.
if there was an entrepreneur who was also trying to push the envelope within India and trying to, just push the needle away from the petrol and diesel cars and
Mm-hmm.
make a switch to electric cars. So that was my inspiration and my drive behind that particular thread.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, in the future, I hope that currently, we are seeing that kind of push in India as well, where people are switching to electric cars and electric scooters, and they're trying to, in their small way, trying to change things. So I hope that that continues, and that continues on a much more massive scale, because the problem which we have is of a much grander scale, and that requires solutions also which work at a mass scale, not just at a small scale. So that will be my hope for that climate change issue.
Right. And this is exactly why I think that this is such a promising debut, Abhishek. And I'm definitely looking forward to what you venture into in your future writing endeavors as well. So, to conclude this interview, I would like to ask you one last question. What is your inspiration, or what's the thought behind the title of the book? Because I feel like the title of the book gives in this hope, this beacon of hope in a way.
Correct. Yeah. So Fireflies from the Future basically tries to suggest that there are basically my protagonists are those fireflies who are trying to illuminate the future for us, who are living in the present. So through those stories, we are trying to get a peek into what the future will look like, what kind of challenges and issues will the world face in the future. And once we know what the future will look like, then we might be more encouraged to make changes in our present, so that that future becomes a better place for us to live. So yeah, Fireflies from the Future means that the stories of the future have come back to us in the present, and they're trying to warn us. They're trying to tell us that okay, you need to do something today, otherwise the future may not be as bright as you might imagine. So that's the whole idea of behind the title.
All right. Thank you so much, Abhishek. That was such an enlightening conversation I had with you today. And, it gives me a good impression of what I can do personally, for a better future for myself and for the youth of India. So thank you so much, Abhishek, for this conversation. And I hope you have an amazing week ahead. Would you like to end this by saying a few words to the audience?
Yeah. So thanks first of all, Isvi, for having this chat with me in the morning. I also really enjoyed it, and yeah, I just want the people to just check out my book. It's available on Amazon, Flipkart, and on Ukyoto's website. And if it interests you, go and grab a copy and just give it a read. I sincerely hope that it will give you a certain insights and ideas, and it will give something to you to reflect upon, and to just to take a pause, and it will allow you to make certain changes in your life and in the way you think, hopefully, so that together all of us can move forward and look forward to a better future and a better world to live in. So that will be my hope and my appeal to the people.
Yeah, I think that's very well put, concludes this entire conversation so well, because I would really like the audience to pick up your book and become more politically active in a lot of ways as well. So thank you again, Abhishek, and I hope to speak to you again once you release your next book, hopefully.
Sure.
So yeah, thank you, and have an amazing week ahead.
Yeah, thank you, ISP. Have a great weekend. Have a great week ahead.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.